Hey everyone. Today's topic, don't act perfect on first dates. I'm going to share with you 3 reasons why I believe you shouldn't engage in this behavior because it can create quite a few problems. The first thing I want to touch on is that this can make you focus solely on yourself. And while it may not seem like a big issue, it actually is. Because if you're focused solely on yourself and the way you present yourself to the other person, guess what you're not doing? You're not taking the time to figure out whether or not that other person is even worth dating. You're not determining whether or not they're even a good match for you. I've seen this time and time again where people focus so much on trying to make the other person like them that they never stop and ask themselves if they even like that other person. So even if they do end up charming them and going on a few more dates, maybe at some point they realize, hey, we don't have a whole lot in common. Like, what was I thinking? And it's because they tackled it from that initial perspective of trying to make the other person like them, not so much trying to figure out, hey, are we actually compatible? Is there the potential for a future here? Because there may actually not be. So that's the first problem with trying to be perfect on first dates. The second one is that it can give the other person the wrong impression of you. If you're acting better than you are, if you're putting on that facade instead of being authentic, you can easily fool that other person into thinking you're different than you really are. And while many people would say, well, there's no real problem with that, there are plenty of problems here. Because one of the biggest things with this is the truth always eventually comes out. It always does. You can't hide who you are forever. The real you will eventually show up at some point, usually when things get a bit chaotic, right? Like if you're in a stressful situation, the real you will be revealed. You cannot hide who you are 100% of the time. So if you're presenting yourself to be way better than you are, to be way more perfect than you are, that other person will find out your true colors at some point. And if you were wearing a facade the whole time, God only knows if they'll like the real you, especially if you're really presenting yourself to be very different from what you actually are. This is one of the problems with constantly agreeing to what your dates say. Like if they say, oh, I like football, and then you say, me too, even though you actually don't. Like the more that you do that, they will eventually find out that you were lying about everything you said you enjoyed. And also, that's a pretty bad practice as a rule anyway, especially for men. Because there are people out there who are pretty decent at reading others, not a whole lot of them per se, but there are people who are good at this and they will usually be able to tell when you're BSing. They may even ask follow-up questions to try to verify. If you say you're into football, they'll be like, okay, what's your favorite team? And then if you happen to not know any of the teams, now you're revealed to be a liar. Or if you do know a team and you just throw it out there, then maybe they can ask follow-up questions on that and about I don't know, what the team's record was last year, how well they're doing, whatever, something like that they know the answer to. And if you don't know the answer to it, yeah, you get revealed as a fraud. So it's just important to not engage in that behavior of putting that facade on and pretending to be way more perfect and better than you actually are. Now, this is going to tie in to my third and final point, which is your whole goal when you're dating should be to find someone who will like you as you are. Someone who will like the real you, your authentic self. So the more that you wear facades and that sort of thing, you're detracting from the whole purpose of dating. Because sure, maybe you can fool certain people into liking you by presenting this facade of yourself that's not real. I know I could easily do that. I know enough about psychology and manipulation. I could easily pretend to be someone I'm not to fool a woman over. But I don't see any value in that because what's the point? My whole goal with dating is to find a woman who could be a life partner for me. That's what I'm after. I'm not after just getting one-night stands all the time. I don't care enough about that to make that my priority because that's really the only reason you would want to constantly throw up facades. If you just want to get laid for one night and that's it and then never see her again, I get that. Probably not the smartest route to go in life. There's a lot of reasons I could delve into, but that's not the topic of this video. So I don't see a point in presenting anything to a woman but my authentic self. And I don't care if I get rejected for that. I don't care. To me, that's a win. I would rather get rejected early on rather than later. I would rather her straight up tell me, hey, look, I don't like you for whatever reason. Maybe she doesn't find me attractive. Maybe she doesn't like, I don't know, whatever it could be. Maybe we don't have enough in common. That to me is a win, because that tells me, hey, look, if I spent any more time on her, it would be a waste. There's no future there. She's not down for me, so why the hell would I be down for her? This is the way you should be thinking when you're dating. So there isn't any incentive to present a version of you that isn't real. Like, don't try to be perfect when you're not. Don't try to wear masks that aren't real to you, because even then, if you manage to trick someone into liking you, guess what? They don't like the real you, because that's not what you're presenting to them. They like the mask that you were wearing. So when you take that mask off, you may have the moment where you realize, holy crap, do they actually like me for who I am? And the answer will be no, because you lied to them about who you are. So it's just a huge issue. Like, I don't see why anyone should want to be able to get someone else to like them when they're not being authentic. Because like I said, that doesn't mean they like the real you. Even if you fool yourself and lie to yourself about them and think, okay, I presented myself to be better than I am, and they ended up falling for me. They didn't fall for you. They fell for that facade that you created of yourself. So yeah, it's important that people realize these things, because I especially see younger people fall into this trap all the time, especially when people are they have that people pleaser background, because people pleasing will make you want other people to like you on first dates, which means you're bound to agree to everything they say. You're bound to say you like certain hobbies that you aren't actually into just because they like them. And yeah, there are tons of ways we can present an inauthentic version of ourselves without even really realizing we're doing it. So just make sure, for the most part, that when you're on first dates, you consciously remind yourself to just be authentic, and keep telling yourself, if they don't like the real you, that's okay. It doesn't mean nobody else on the planet will find you attractive or be interested in you. That's BS. Don't listen to the voice that will say that, because that's simply not true. Like, I've met so many different women by now, and I've met plenty who didn't find me attractive, and then I've also met many who found me incredibly attractive, to the point where I almost didn't believe them because of my experience with the ones who didn't, or just the ones who found me moderately attractive. I don't know. Basically what I'm getting at, there will always be people who will be into you. So don't sweat it when you find people who aren't. They're just not your people. They're not down for you, so you shouldn't be down for them. Don't think, woe is me. Just think, thank you, universe, you're saving my time and energy, and then move on to the next person. Because it is way better to get rejected really early on in the process, like on the first date with someone, than to get rejected years down the road because they thought they would maybe see if things would work out with you, even though they kind of knew they weren't fully into you. And then, yeah, basically they would end up just dragging you along for however length of time until things finally end. I would much rather get rejected on the first date than deal with that latter thing where you get rejected months or years down the road because the other person just wasn't fully down for you, but they were trying to make it work, or maybe you were the only option they had. And yeah, screw that. So that's pretty much all I have for you in this video, just sharing my thoughts on why I don't believe any of us should ever try to be perfect on the first date. Don't try to present yourself as better than you are. Just go in there and be authentic. That's how you'll create true connections, and that's how you'll find out whether or not someone really likes you for who you are. And if they do, that's an incredible feeling. So it's way more worthwhile to get that than to trick someone into liking a false version of you. So yeah, truly hope you enjoyed this video. If you like content like this, be sure to subscribe for more. Otherwise, throw a like and a comment on the video for the algorithm. Let me know your thoughts on this, and I will see you guys in the next one. Arrivederci.